Hi guys, Dave here from Wolf in the Wild Survival. I am back at my cottage, my family's cottage. I did a video featuring this property a while ago. It was a year or two. I can't really remember exactly, probably a year, where I kind of take you on a tour and quickly show you sort of the area. I'm up here for a couple of weeks, and I don't really know exactly what I'm going to be doing necessarily that's camera worthy, that's video worthy. But I'm going to try to throw something together as just sort of, how the place kind of works and what I do and kind of whatever, or at least the stuff that isn't incredibly boring. As for the previous video where I take a tour of the grounds, I will try to remember to put a link in the description, but I mean, as you all know, I tend to forget to do that a lot, and I don't really watch my own videos at all, so the link might not show up, but it's in there somewhere. I swear, if you just do a search on my channel for my Bugout location, it should come up. Yeah. So by the time you guys see this video, I will obviously already have come out of the woods, and that's why there's such a big gap in video releases. I have some videos ready to go. I meant to set them up to be released at intervals, kind of thing while I was up here, but I got so busy and, trying to get this trip underway and whatnot. I just completely forgot. I completely forgot. Also, for any of you people who are, shame, COVID, kind of whatever. Okay, here's what I did. I gathered up everything that I need, all the food, all the gas, all the way. I got everything that I needed. And I went directly from my house to where I park and where there's a dock to put the boat in. And then I came directly here. I had no human interaction at all from the point that I left my house. I didn't stop at any stores. I didn't stop and say hi to anybody or anything like that. And the closest thing to human interaction I've had is either I'm in the boat or somebody else is in their boat, or we're both in a boat. We're half a lake apart from each other, and we just wave. That's it. So I am not putting anybody at risk. I know that I don't have the COVID virus, but no, I didn't stop at all. So, I've been here. I've been here 5 or 6 days, I think. Probably 5. Let me see, what's today? Today's Tuesday. And I came in on Thursday. So 5 days. I have cleaned up a little bit. We have done a lot of wood. My brother, my nephew, and my second cousin and my dad were also up here for a while. My dad just left, and my brother and nephew and second cousin left a few days ago. I'm up here by myself right now, but my dad will be coming back later at some point. So we've gotten a fair bit done. We've gotten almost a year worth of wood, almost the winter worth of wood cut already, and it's the Tuesday after the May 24th weekend at this point right now. So I'll show you that. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Now, for those of you who are not familiar with these, that is called a tiger swallowtail butterfly. I just stepped out the back door, and there he was. There's also a martin that's been playing around here later in the evening and through the night. I'm going to try to get some footage of him. But there is a lot of wildlife here at my cottage.
So this is one of the wood sheds here. The amount of wood that it holds is sufficient pretty much to get us through a winter, mostly because we're not here all winter long. We're not burning wood constantly through the winter. We're here enough, but it's not like a residence. So, I mean, we fill this shed up full of wood. That gets us through. This is the wood that I have to pile right now. I've already got most of the shed filled up, and there's still some wood yet to be split. But, you know, I've been a little bit lazy. I've been doing other things, but I'll get this piled into there soon enough. I mean, it's a pile here, it's a pile there. What's the difference, right? It's good. I'll show you our splitting apparatus. So this is our hydraulic splitter. Tree sap. Alright, so we got a generator over in the power shed. We turn that on, plug this in, and just, it splits everything up nice for us, and we throw it over to where I was standing, which is right beside the camera now. Just give it a toss, throw it into that pile, put it into the shed. There's also another shed, and then another shed. We cut 3 years worth of wood in advance so that each pile has 2-ish years to cure, dry out, you know, make it better firewood. This here is everything that we have to get split. I hope you can see the majority of it. There's still, we're more than half done, but that's pretty much how we do it here. I mentioned the power shed a moment ago. This is some of our solar panels. We also have some on top of the cottage and some on top of the power shed. So there's a good sized bank here, and this catches the sun most of the day. The one on the cottage will catch the early morning sun better, early to sort of just past noon, as well as the ones on the power shed. These here basically get it more from the afternoon on, you know, kind of whatever. So we get a full range of the day to charge the batteries that we have in the power shed. Now, we used to have old batteries from Sherman tanks, but they eventually did start wearing out. So now we have high-density batteries for high-density marine batteries. And, oh, let me see. We got 6, I think. So we have sufficient power to kind of, you know, play around a little bit, but I mean, it's not, you know, like your house kind of thing where you have power to spare. And just for a little bit of completeness on this whole, you know, wood, heat, and power thing, this is our power shed with a generator. The batteries are just in a box here by the front door. You'll notice Roy Jarvie, my granddad, he passed away a few years ago, and he left us this cottage. that his dad built in 1952 to 1954. And lastly, for the whole firewood thing, this is how we get the wood out of the bush when we find a downed tree, or we harvest a hardwood tree. Alright, so let's talk about water real quick. We are on a lake. That's why this is called a cottage and not a cabin. A cottage is a cabin that's on a lake. A cabin is basically a cottage that's in the woods. So, technically, this is a cottage because we're on the lake. Now, a lot of the time, and for years and years and years, we used to just take buckets and go down the lake and bring water up to wash dishes, do laundry, clean the cottage, whatever you need water for, other than bathing, which we'll get to later. But in recent years, we've put in a gravity-fed system so that we can have running water, and well, it's it's definitely nice to have. So up above me here, you see a barrel. That's a I think it's a 40-gallon drum, which we pump water up from the lake to there, and bada bing, we have running water in our kitchen, which is really, really nice to have up here. This here is our pump house. We have it's a generator with a water pump. So we don't need to turn the generator on in the powerhouse to get water up to the 40-gallon drum when we need to fill it. We just gas up the generator down here, start it up, hit the water pump, it fills up the 40-gallon drum. Which brings me down to the very first building that was put up on this property. This one, right here. This is our sauna house, or what some people call a sauna. In Finland, it's pronounced sauna. My family's from Finland. We've always called it a sauna. So, adjust that however you like. The water is maybe 15 feet from this point. So, when we're bathing in here, we can run down to the water, jump in, swim around a little bit, and then come back in and continue our steam bath. And that clean, better than any shower, better than any other way you could ever get clean. This is the bomb. You want to be clean? Sauna, lake, sauna, lake, sauna. Hands down. All right. Before I go inside, I'm just going to rotate the camera a little bit, and I'm going to show you. There's the lake right there. Don't mind the stove, which is that thing right there. It's been sitting there a little while. We are doing something that I hope to share with you guys with it later. So, as you can see, it's not, there's little stairs down to the dock, into the lake you go. It's awesome. Except for right now, because it's like the middle of May and the lake is still pretty cold. When it's bath time, the first thing you have to do is get ready to start a fire in our little fireplace. Everything in here was made handmade by my great-grandfather on site. One handy dude. Just absolute, the craftiest person in the world, I swear. So he welded all of this up. Oh, I gotta clean that. Okay, I'm not gonna pull that out now, but there's a drawer there, you pull it out, all the ash falls down. Really easy to keep it, clean, despite how lazy I've been the last little while on that. So said we got some birch in here, softwood. We've got a little bit of softwood, and then with a little bit of hardwood. When you're doing a sauna, the key really is soft wood. It burns faster, but it burns a whole lot hotter, and that's what you want, is the heat. We have some hardwood down here so that we can keep the fire going for long periods of time through the evening, so that, say, one person will come down and they'll have their sauna, then the next person will come down and they'll have theirs, and then maybe they'll throw some wood in, and then maybe the next person is still busy doing something and they're not wanting to have it right away, but they still want to have a sauna at some point in the next hour or so. We take some hardwood, we throw it in there, it burns slow and low, but it makes a really nice coal base, so that when you put your softwood in there to get her hot again, no problem at all, flares right up, heats up quickly, bam, nice punch. Remember that, anybody planning on doing anything like this, softwood is the key when you're doing the sauna. So we light our fire, and we let her heat up. Now from this point on, all the wood is cedar, because it is fairly rot resistant, and all the cedar that's in here is the same, which I think it came from BC, I think it's BC cedar, and it is the same cedar that my great-grandfather put in when he built this place, 1952. My great-granddad and my great-grandmother lived and slept in this building while they were building the cottage. So, pretty rugged. You get a low bench, mid bench, upper bench. I can sit up here and my head is just almost to the roof. Basically, children and people who are not used to having a sauna, your people that are used to having a sauna but don't like it super, super hot, and then sort of the old guys that, really steam it up, love it super hot. If you're up here and you throw steam on those rocks, within seconds you feel it, and it is the beautiful, beautiful feeling. Oh, nothing like a good hot steam. You just, all your pores kind of open up and you kind of start sweating out, and then you go jump into the lake and your pores shrink down and everything just comes right at you. We have buckets of water that we pull out of the lake. We use this to clean and kind of whatnot. We do not jump in the lake when we're soapy. We clean ourselves off or rinse ourselves off before we jump in the lake. We use biodegradable camp soap, but still we don't want to introduce that directly into the lake. We want the soil and the plants to kind of break that down for us. So for anybody thinking about doing this kind of thing, that's something to consider. You don't want to pollute your own environment too bad. Mosquitoes are horrible today. Hopefully jumping's even in here. Alright, let's bring you right inside. You can see the inner workings on how this actually functions. So that stainless steel wood stove kind of idea is underneath those rocks and that stainless steel housing. When the fire heats those rocks up nice and hot, that's kind of where you're almost ready to have your sauna. Now,
let's see if we can do this without jarring the camera too bad. There we go. Up here. So that is the smokestack for the fireplace. So we do not get smoke in here at all. And that will hold, 20 or 30 gallons of water. And that heats up. And it heats up hot, let me tell you. It will scald you. It is hot. So we have, now the tap on it just broke, so we have a pair of pliers, or vice grips rather, on the tap, which allows us to access our hot water. So, oh wow, the water's actually still warm from last night. So we that might not be tight enough. I don't want to strip that out until we get something to replace that or repair it, but I also don't want to bend out the brass fitting either. Okay, so the water goes into this bucket here. That's going to be super hot. So when we have all the hot water that we need, we take our hot water bucket. We have cold water in here, these two. We take a couple of wash buckets, set them up, little pot, put cold water into your buckets, hot water into the buckets until you have the desired temperature. Now, normally you would be in and out of the lake once or twice during this whole process, but when it's cold, when the water's cold and you're not wanting to jump into the water, particularly if there's a fine layer of ice over it, you can take a third bucket, set that up, and have cold water in there with just a little bit of hot so that it's not really, really cold. You got your soapy water here. You take your bar of soap, your washcloth, your shower puffy, whatever, and you clean off. And then you have your rinse water here, and you go and you get into the lake. Then you come back in and you sit down and you splash a little bit of water on the rocks and bring up the steam. And you just sit and just kind of relax in this hot steam. It's one of the best feelings in the world. It's so nice, especially when your muscles are sore from lugging wood, piling stuff, and just all the work that you got to do. It's so nice to sit in the steam. You got bug bites, mosquitoes, black flies, like even a bee sting. It'll leach out all of that crud and make it mostly go away. And then, in and out of the lake, or at the very least, you just rinse off with really cold water. That's going to shrink your pores down, similar to jumping in the lake, which is going to get all that rest of that crud out of you. And then, just steam yourself and rinse off every once in a while. I will guarantee you, if you have not ever had a traditional Finnish sauna, you are missing out. Because there is nothing in the world better than that, man. Oh, it's so good. I don't care what kind of bathhouse, what kind of whatever. Even these sort of modern day electric saunas or whatever, they're still nowhere near as good. So at the end of our steam bath, our sauna, we put everything sort of, upside down, drain it out clean, rinse the floor for the next person to come along. We will put cold water into the buckets again, just down to the lake and scoop up some water and have everything nice. Sometimes if the hot water reservoir is getting low, we'll fill that up and we'll just cram a bunch more wood into the fireplace to get that hot again. And it don't take long. It really doesn't take that long to heat up, especially when you got a good roaring fire. I would say from absolute cold, you start the fire and you get the whole process going. It's probably, depending on the weather, it's probably anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes before you're ready to have your sauna. If everything's already hot and roaring and you put a bunch of cold water into the reservoir, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's hot. It's hot. So, yeah, that's how we bathe ourselves way out in the woods of Northern Ontario. Or at least that's how we do it. I don't know how they do it, but, you know, no peasant life here, right?